Okay, good evening everyone, and welcome to the 2019 Autodrive Challenge Awards ceremony. So before we get started with the program here, there's a couple folks that I want to say thank you to, and one is of course our sponsor for the event this evening, which is Intel. You're going to hear from Mr. Jack Wiest a little bit later, and of course want to mention both Byron and Jacob for all your help this week. So please join me in welcoming and thanking Intel. I'd also like to thank the GM Heritage Center. The staff and just the welcoming support that this staff has done and invited us into this space. I was going to tell you a little bit about the space, but I quickly found out that we have an on-site expert who's going to come up here and share a little bit about the history and about some of the vehicles that we want to make sure you see. So I'd like to invite up Miss Peggy Vesna. And Peggy is the event coordinator here at the GM Heritage Center. Tell you a little bit about the space. Peggy.
Well, good evening. We hope you enjoy yourselves tonight. I've been asked to give you a little information about the Heritage Center. So to begin with, the Heritage Center opened about 15 years ago, and it was a result of a decision by General Motors to compile all the vehicles that were being saved throughout the organization. Prior to that, every division kept their own history, so they were all keeping their own vehicles. And so now it's time to have a corporate fleet. So today the fleet runs at almost 700 vehicles. What you're seeing today is just a portion of the fleet. We keep about 160 on the floor. Every vehicle was chosen to be part of the collection because it represents a milestone in our history, either through design, engineering, or sales. There's something specifically important about each vehicle. We have a wheel stand in front of every vehicle that gives you information about the vehicle. We've pulled from inventory what we think are the most important cars, those that represent the most important innovations, and those that are in the best condition, and those that we know our enthusiasts want to see. We're organized by brand, and then we try to be chronologic within each of those. In addition to being a showroom for the collection, we are also a conferencing center, so much like you're here today, we do about 300 events a year. And then our third function is to serve as the archive. We keep the historic records for the corporation. Things like production records, technical service manuals, brochures, sales literature, in speeches, patent information. In some cases we have swatches of material and chips of paint from way back in the 1950s. So we take between 10 and 20 calls a day for historic information. So that's a little bit about the Heritage Center and what we do here and what you're seeing on the floor. To make the most of your visit, I do hope that you see and read those wheel stands. I did want to point out a couple very important vehicles. Obviously, autonomous driving is very important to all of us, and by now you've seen some of the placards in front of some of the very important cars, but I do want to make sure that you do take the time to see the Firebird 2 and the chassis for the Firebird 3. In Firebird 2, autonomous driving was a conceptual idea. They thought that we would have a wire in the road and the car would follow the wire in the road. Firebird 3 makes it actually autonomous. It made it operational. You can see the actual relay control panel on the side of that chassis that made it actually happen. And I think that's pretty cool that we're celebrating the 60th anniversary of autonomous driving here at the Heritage Center. So take a look at those. For those of you who are Corvette enthusiasts, make sure that you take a look at that wonderful, a whole row of Corvettes, starting with the Mako Shark and the Manta Ray, both very important and I think inspirational concept cars. And then of course, I want you to make sure you see the 1912 Cadillac. It's a blue vehicle with yellow spokes. The reason I want to point that out is because it's the first year for electric starter. Changed the world of driving, allowed small-statured men and women to drive, It made gasoline-powered cars more reliable because at that point, battery-operated cars are more reliable. And it just changed the world of driving. So make sure you see that. It's one of the most important pieces in our collection. The electric starter is still considered to be one of the greatest safety innovations. So that's just a sampling of what you're going to see on the floor today. We only have one request, and we ask you not to touch any of the vehicles. But if you want to see under the hood, many of you have already met the maintenance staff here. They'll open the hood for you if you ask them, because we're not going to touch them. But they can open the hood for any of the production cars. They can't do it for the design cars, but they can do it for that. So that's the Heritage Center in a nutshell. If you have any questions, see me later, and have fun tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. It's incredible, not only the history that you see, but the culture that's been driven, and you can feel it in this room. It's a really, really impressive facility. So I want to welcome you all, especially our collegiate competitors that have showcased some just next level talent throughout the week. I want to go through a little exercise before we get started. I'm going to ask the teams to stand up. As I call your name, can you please stand up, and then, because we want to recognize you in a special way here in a minute. Where's Michigan Tech? Where's Virginia Tech? Michigan State? Kettering? Texas A&M? Toronto? Waterloo? And North Carolina A&T. So the learning that has happened with this group, within this group over the past 2 years has just been absolutely astonishing. Congratulations to each and every one of you, and to the countless teammates that are back at the school. We realize we can't bring everybody out to competition. We can't bring everyone out to an awards ceremony. But this group and the level of dedication that you've done towards these platforms that are behind us are just, it's just astonishing. There's no other way to describe it. So thank you very much. So at SAE, our focus is always on learning. However, you may not know that, that some of our programs go much deeper than Autodrive Challenge. This is one of the challenges. It's a partnership with General Motors through the SAE Collegiate Design Series. But what I want to talk to you a little bit about this evening is the importance of learning on a strong STEM foundation. So we believe that science, technology, engineering, and math are the bedrocks that make up the foundation of learning. When we have these skills, we have the ability to create, we have the ability to innovate, and we have the ability to participate in truly shaping our future. And that's what these students are doing today. They're doing things that aren't happening in industry yet. They're doing things that we're testing within the OEMs. They're doing things that we're testing within some of the partner organizations, but it's really shaping the future and pushing that innovation forward. The beauty of that learning is that these skills can happen at any educational level. At SAE, we and our partners, such as General Motors, understand that, and it's clearly demonstrated through the programs that we offer. Our mission is to advance mobility, knowledge, solutions for the benefit of humanity. This is why we believe and are so strongly committed to STEM education. SAE has programs. We're engaging students from the pre-K level in STEM educational programming through, of course, the university programming like programs like Autodrive. Our National Science Board award-winning A World in Motion program brings learning alive for primary, elementary, and middle school students. Like Autodrive, it makes learning fun by immersing students in the integrated experience. Now, I have one anecdotal thing where I need a little bit of feedback on whether it was fun this week. So green flag, nothing moves. Green flag's still out, nothing moves. 15 minutes, nothing moves. 20 minutes, nothing moves. I can see the flag, it's green, but nothing moves. So that's one of the places where we have to look at those types of things and say, how do we keep the engaging experience moving forward, right? So that's one of the pieces that we need to continue to look at, is keeping the experience engaging as we go along. Benjamin Franklin once said, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." Whether we're building balloon-powered cars, or launching straw rockets, or keeping our networks secure through the Award in Motion program, or building a Formula SAE vehicle, or designing software for an automated compute platform, the engineering design experience is always the same. It's the foundation of learning that SAE strives to engage our entire organizational community. One of the proudest moments for me since inception of the program is watching the learning permeate from the students to this entire room. How we take those experiences back to work, whether that's at a university for us, whether that's at a tech center, at a proving grounds, or even, you know, a local coffee shop if we're some of those folks who have home offices. There are countless examples of the Autodrive community coming together to support the educational process that drives our community. This is a really incredible part of the community that we are all willing to raise our hand and saying, hey, I might not be perfect, but I can help. I want to share a couple of examples from what happened this week alone. On Monday, someone in Flint smelled smoke. So, you know, when you have that type of experience and you have a compute platform that goes out a day before your car is supposed to ship to competition, right? This entire community came together and said, what can we do to help? If there is not a world record for the number of times that a tracking number was checked, it had to have been exceeded this year. Everybody knew that tracking number. Everybody knew where that compute platform was at every given time. Another example is our community designed, built, and deployed automated pedestrian sled. These things did not exist in a reasonable fashion for the testing that we needed to do through Autodrive. So we looked at it and we said, we're going to go build them. There was a lot of many long hours of testing, just as you as students were going through building your vehicles. You know, we're building the infrastructure to be able to test these things. There's another example of some of the unsung heroes from through the week, and I kind of refer to these as the auxiliary garage folks that really like acronyms. So we had OXTS, DES, IS4S, you know, coming together, working in perfect harmony to not only gather this data from the car, which at times causes ungodly stress when you're doing it for one test vehicle. We're doing it for 8. Every half an hour. And then we say, okay, go back and process this data that's within 2 centimeters of accuracy. It's just, again, it's another example of those folks that really step up. And then, of course, and certainly, you know, our static and dynamic captains, volunteers, GM staff, SAE staff, the countless hours of dedication to getting it as close to perfect as humanly possible that we can get. These are just 4 examples of our community stepping up to support the mission of learning of the Autodrive Challenge, and there are countless more. So as we celebrate our accomplishments here this evening, I encourage you to really see and appreciate the learning that's happening, not only by our students, but by all of us as we work together through Autodrive. There's no better example as an organization that leads this than our next speaker from General Motors. We have the privilege this evening to hear from Andrew Farah. Andrew is the Chief Technology Architect, Autonomous Systems for Autonomous and Electrical Vehicle Programs at General Motors. Did I get that right? So in this role, he's working internally with R&D, product development, and externally with key suppliers to identify, develop, and coordinate, coordinate technologies in the areas of sensing, computing, and actuations that are necessary for the timely, successful launch of the autonomous vehicle programs at General Motors. At this time, I'd like to welcome Andrew to say a few words, please.
Thanks, Chris. Good evening, everyone. First, I'd just like to say that I love coming to the Heritage Center. And it's not just the smell of musty old Buicks, which is where I started working, but it's the fact that I see a number of vehicles that I've actually worked on, a number of them that I've only read about, and some that I've only thought about. I had nothing to do with the 1911 Cadillac electric starter, just to be clear. But I did have a lot to do with a few of these other cars that are around here, and it's just kind of amazing to see all of these things in one place. So, it's my pleasure to speak to you again here in the second year of the Autodrive Challenge. For those of you who participated last year, back out in Arizona, where it was a lot hotter and a lot less rain, as I understand anyway, you may remember that I talked to you a little bit about the competition because I spoke before you had a chance to get out there. Here I am now talking to you after the second competition, so you're 2/3 of the way through, which is good news. I congratulated you last year on making the decision to participate in an activity like this, something that is really going to be good for you as a student, good for you as you look at where's your career going to go, and good for you as you learn how to work with people and understand what it really means to come together as a team. And I heard a few stories here about some of the ways that you've even come together as a larger organization of teams. And I think, again, that's a great thing to take away from this activity. So, a quick show of hands. How many of you were involved in the year one competition? Okay, good. And how many of you are new this year? That's good. And how many of you think you'll survive all 3 years? Okay, good. So a few of you are survivors. That's good. Well, for the newcomers, welcome. And again, this is one of the best opportunities that you're going to get to understand more about autonomous vehicles and in many ways what a career working in autonomous vehicles might be like. So, and with that, I would also like to thank SAE, our sponsors, Intel, and others, and your schools for coming together with us here at GM to put this opportunity together. This is not something that everybody gets a chance to be a part of just because it is very difficult to put together. If you think it's hard to make an autonomous vehicle stop at a railroad crossing, you ought to try trying to feed and house 150 students for a weekend. Believe me, that's very difficult. So with that, a round of applause for everybody who helped put this together. So as I said before, particularly for those of you who raised your hands that you're going to make it throughout 3 years, you're 2/3 of the way there. Last year, again, I talked to you a little bit about the importance of hands-on exposure during your education and during your early career. And the fact, again, that you're here says that you understand what you're really getting out of all of this. We also talked about the success of putting together the right team, a team that has all the right pieces necessary to win. And I'm guessing that over the last year that you had to bring some new team members in. Obviously, some people here for the first time when you raised your hand, so that means that you had to do that. As you brought those new people in, what did you think about? Did you think about the skill sets that your team perhaps needed to round itself out? Did you think about diversity of thought and getting people with different diverse experiences that either in school or outside of their schoolwork? As you're putting together a team out in the real world as leaders later on in life, you're going to find out that it's very important to think about those things, whether it's a small team or an entire organization that you're putting together. So I encourage you during the activities here with the Autodrive Challenge, think about your team, think about what you're learning about how to put together a team and what makes a good team, because that's also a big part of the learning experience. I guess, sort of a final note, don't underestimate what the team can do. As an individual, you can only do so much, but as a team, you can do so much more. So last year, we also talked a little bit about being willing to fail. And I don't mean the kind of failure because you weren't prepared. We all know what that is, right? I've got an exam on Thursday night, so I start studying Thursday morning. That's a whole different kind of failure, right? That's failure to prepare. That's not what I'm talking about. You should be afraid of failure to prepare. The kind of failure that I'm talking about is the one where you've worked hard, you've done everything you can, but it's still not right. Could it be because the technical approach was flawed in some way, you made some mistake? Or is it just because the idea or the approach that you took was not the one that was going to be successful, okay? Sometimes there are problems like that that your first approach just isn't going to get it. Don't be afraid to fail, right? The big question to ask yourself as you're going through those things is, did you learn something? Something that will help you with success the next time you go off to try to do something, right? That's what I like to call good failure, okay? There's two kinds. There's the I didn't prepare, bad failure, right? And I prepared, but it just wasn't the right answer. Good failure. Have you learned something about it? Yes. Are you ready to take on the challenge next time? Yes, okay? Be prepared. Don't be afraid of failure. Good failure. So what I can tell you is that in the world of advanced automotive technology, whether it be autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles, advanced combustion engines and things, we regularly fail, don't we, Ken? And most of the time it's good failure. Most of the time there's learning that happens. Yes, every now and then too there's bad failure, but most of the time it's good failure. You've all heard all the sayings, fail fast, fail often, epic fail or epic learn, learn to fail but don't fail to learn, right? We've heard them all, right? These are all okay as long as it's good failure, as long as you're taking something away from it. Again, whether it be something technical or something about the way your team works or needs to be improved, okay? So there's been a lot of good failure and later success in the AV hardware industry over the last year since I spoke with you last. You're probably seeing some of this in some of the things that you're reading and maybe even working with, right? High-resolution digital camera technology continues to progress. New imagers are becoming available that provide additional differentiating information about a scene. Of course, this opens up all new sorts of possibilities for object identification and classification. Radars continue to improve in their resolution both in azimuth and in elevation, as well as developing non-mechanical beam steering methodologies. These are hopefully some things maybe we can get into some further years of the competition as they become more available. And of course, there's LiDAR, which is now sort of coming of age as costs come down and performance continues to improve. I could give you a whole hour on LiDAR and all the different things that are going on. However, sensors are still, in my mind, in this bucket where everybody thinks more is better, okay? Whether it's more resolution, more data, just more sensors. And really the next big step needs to come in perception and perception processing, fusion processing, to really decide what to do with all that data, or do I in fact really need it all, okay? And my opinion is that in many cases we overkill because we really haven't figured out how to process all that data yet effectively and know the best way to figure out really how little can I get away with. So there's still a lot of good failure opportunities dealing with sensors and processing. Along with sensing technologies, compute technologies continue to improve in performance, energy consumption, and sometimes cost. That's for you. Yeah. Couldn't resist. And there's much debate about what the best technical approach is to perception, prediction, and planning. And there is somebody somewhere working on specialized hardware, no matter what it is your method is of doing my favorite 3 Ps, right? There's somebody saying, I can come up with a system on chip like this, or I can take this processing technology, modify it slightly, and make it run 10 times faster for the way you want to do things. It won't work very well for how you want to do things. So there's still a lot of specialization that's going to go on there. Again, a lot of great opportunities for good failure in the computing industry as well as in the AV stack itself. So, since I'm between you guys and dinner, I'll just try to wrap up here very briefly. I want to encourage you all to continue to seek out opportunities like Autodrive Challenge, whether it be in additional organized activities like this, whether it be in summer employment, whether it be in working with your professors at your institutions, right? All things that you should continue to do. When you're learning about those things, doing it hands-on. What was Ben Franklin said earlier, Chris? Where'd Chris go? I can't remember the exact statement of Ben Franklin, but right, if you teach me, then I remember, or something like that. So, second, challenge yourself without fear of failure, okay? Again, good failure. Be afraid of bad failure. Don't be afraid of the good failure. And think about your teamwork experience as another learning opportunity. Again, when you get out into industry, whether you're working in a team of 2 or 2,000, okay, what you're learning about how to work with people, not just the technology, is just as important to your education and your future career. So with that, thank you and the best of luck as you get through the rest of today and move on into year 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. So we're going to start dinner. Before we start dinner, we do have a video to share with you of some of the events throughout the week. As this plays, the catering staff will come around and they'll dismiss you by tables to go over and get dinner. So enjoy dinner, and I'll be back with you after we eat. Thanks.
We're building a self-driving car. You know, you don't really get to do anywhere else.
Building a self-driving car is probably one of the greatest engineering problems that we have faced in our generation.
So the Autodrive Challenge is a set of 3 competitions. Right now we're at year 2 of the competition, where we're competing over here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We're here at the M-City test track.
We're building a self-driving car. You know, you don't really get to do anywhere else.
Building a self-driving car is probably one of the greatest engineering problems that we have faced in our generation.
So the Autodrive Challenge is a set of 3 competitions. Right now we're at year 2 of the competition, where we're competing over here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We're here at the M-City test track. Basically a stock Chevy Bolt EV, and added sensors, added a compute platform.
Each year, the complexity of the challenges becomes more and more difficult.
The Traffic Control Sign Challenge exercises the autonomous vehicle's ability to recognize common street signs and to respond to them. This year's challenge also required cars to locate an appropriate parking spot and park there autonomously.
So the pedestrian challenges is looking at moving pedestrians. They're on little rollers and they'll be crossing sidewalks and stuff like that. And then the M-City challenge is a bit more complex. It really simulates urban driving. There's railroad crossings, traffic signals, traffic signs that you have to obey.
This year's intersection challenge exposed the autonomous vehicles to over a dozen different situations involving traffic signal.
To all of you, all the teams, good evening. Tonight we've got 8 teams from the United States and Canada. And I'm sure you're all excited to demonstrate everything you've learned and worked hard on this year.
Wow, I mean, you got 8 universities across North America, automotive engineers of the future. We thought it was a fantastic opportunity to engage with the students.
Autonomous driving is something that I had thought was limited just to giant corporations, but to see students my age working together to implement these systems was just so exciting to me, and I just knew I had to get involved.
Like, you're solving real-world engineering problems, and this makes you a better engineer later on. This makes you a more complete engineer later on. They need to make sure that all their decisions are communicated properly. They need to make sure they work as a team, they work efficiently as a team.
My students are going to be far more competitive in the workplace because of these experiences, because this gives them the way to walk in with a foundation of how to contribute to the company day one.
What can be better than an autonomous car, than the students can be engaged in and can learn it, and actually these type of competitions and these type of platforms can help us to train better students for the future.
Just great seeing that progression from the level 1, level 2 to level 4 automation is great to see, and it's great when we're warming up, installing in the cars, the differences that they have.
We were speaking at a conference in November, and at the end of the panel, after we had described the exciting future potential of autonomous vehicles and the work that Autorama was doing, a young woman came up to me as we were packing up, and she wanted to talk. And she seemed very excited and so passionate about how this is going and where this is going. But she didn't understand, is it that a student team, a group of undergraduates and graduate students could actually do something meaningful when you have the big companies like your Waymos and your Ubers tackling the problem. And in maybe 10 or 15 minutes, I explained exactly what we do, how we do our design methodologies, and how that's actually led us in order to create a vehicle that approaches level 3 to level 4 SAE autonomy. And she was so excited, and she thanked me and said, "This is amazing. I want to take action on this." And she disappeared. Now, this woman is standing next to me right here.
Okay, good evening. One more time, I hope everybody enjoyed their dinner. I'd like to once again thank the Heritage Center for doing a great job, and our caterer tonight was Andiamos, so hopefully everybody enjoyed the food. So before we start our awards ceremony this evening, I want to welcome Mr. Jack Wiest to say a couple words from Intel. Of course, Intel's been an integral partner in offering the Autodrive Challenge, and Jack is their Senior Principal Engineer and Chief Systems Architecture for Automated Driving. Jack?
All right, thank you, everyone. First, before I say a few words, and I'm going to keep this brief because I know I'm standing between you and some trophies and a bunch of cash that you're all hoping to win. So first, I do want to especially thank GM for this incredible facility and for hosting us here and for hosting all of you this week. That's no small challenge, as Andrew mentioned. And while we are very proud to partner, to sponsor this challenge, without GM's contributions and partnership as well, this wouldn't have happened. So please join me in thanking GM. All right. So second disclaimer I'm going to make is that I did not compare notes with Andrew beforehand on this speech, though you'll see some similarities. What I wanted to do was kind of reflect on my own experience as an engineer and remembering what it was like when I was you in competitions like this. And something that Andrew said a number of times where he talked about opportunity. And one of my favorite quotes, I'm going to give you 4 quotes from 4 guys named Thomas. And the first one is from Thomas Edison, who said that opportunity is missed by most people because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work. And I think you all know that. This is work. This is an opportunity, but it's not been easy. You didn't choose an easy challenge or an easy side project to do through the course of your studies. You chose something really hard, something that even the biggest multinational companies are struggling with, and you jumped right in to do that, and so you should be commended for that. A lot of people link opportunity with luck later on in life, where they think, wow, I was just in the right place at the right time. I'm so lucky I have this opportunity. And I'm not sure that's always the case. And the second guy named Thomas Jefferson, said that I'm a great believer in luck, and I find that the harder I work, the more I have of it. And so I think that's also true. You know, work ethic and dedication to not only find but create opportunities is something that's going to take you very far in your career. And investing the time and work energy at this point in your life is an outstanding thing to do. And again, I'd like to commend you all for doing that. The other area where Andrew and I didn't compare notes was when we were talking about failure. And I could not agree more with what Andrew said, in the sense that failure is something to learn from. If this were easy, we wouldn't be here, right? It's part of the process. So as you fail and fail and fail and fail again, you should remember what Thomas Edison said, my third guy named Thomas, who said that many of life's true failures are people who did not realize how close they were to succeeding when they gave up. And so as you fail and fail again, know that each time you fail, you're learning something and you're getting closer to succeeding, which I think was captured best by the fourth guy named Thomas Watson, who said that the fastest way to succeed is to double your failure rate. And so by doing so, every time you fail, every 2 times you fail, you get an exponential curve of success probability that happens. So keep failing, work hard for those opportunities. They will result in luck, and I know you are all going to be very successful in the end. So my congratulations to all of you here today, and let's give a big round of applause to the students and to your fellow students for participating in this competition. Thank you.
So, a couple things before we start to announce awards. There's a couple of other individuals that that I want to make sure that I recognize and going to ask for a little bit of help up front here. So, you heard the story of where Autodrive came from. It was our first podcast episode. It came from this idea of how do you build even better and stronger partnerships. And these 2 individuals I'm going to ask to come up and help me are the program managers within SAE International and within General Motors. So, and I have to tell a little bit of the story between myself and Mark Johnson in trying to facilitate to bring this together with all the powers that be and gathering all that data and that information that we need to put together a process to build something like Autodrive. These 2 individuals that I'm going to ask to come up right now are Allison Hostetler and Kevin Dietrich. They're the program managers from each side. And of course, they need no introduction to anybody in this room. But the story that Allison tells all the time is, "Are you serious? You're just going to hand me that stack of papers, and we got to figure out what to do." And these 2 individuals, through their leadership, has just been absolutely awesome. So thank you both very much for everything that you do, for sure. So we're going to get started into taking a look at the static reports. So the teams, before the competition, before the dynamic events actually started, and we went through actually driving the cars, we were looking at many things. We were looking at things like social responsibility. We were looking at technical inspection. We were doing all of these pieces. The first particular thing that the students did was go through the social responsibility presentations. So these awards go to the top 3 teams who made the best case for using the RSS model for safety for autonomous driving technologies from perspective of economic, environment, and social sustainability, along with a clear case for social responsibility defined as shared value. So at this point in time, I'd like for, could I please have Andrew come back up and have these gentlemen help me distribute awards. Jack, if you could come back up. And I'm also going to have Ken Kelzer, the Vice President of Global Hardware and Components and Subsystems from General Motors, help to distribute awards. So in 3rd place, I'd like for you to send, please, 4 representatives from your team to come up and accept the awards. In third place, Michigan Tech. Congratulations, Michigan Tech. In second place, now we understand how that all happens, right? The logistics of it. And also, I'll ask you, if you come up to accept the award, please take your name tag off. In second place, Virginia Tech.
Right over here. Mark's there. Make it easy for us. Make it easier.
Congratulations, Virginia Tech. And in first place, social responsibility is the University of Toronto. Congratulations, Toronto. The next award is the Concept Design Report. The Concept Design Report award goes to the team whose vehicle illustrates the best use of engineering to meet the design goals, a high-performance autonomous vehicle. In third place is the University of Waterloo. Congratulations, Waterloo. In second place, Concept Design Report, the University of Toronto. And in first place, Kettering University. Congratulations, Kettering. Okay, moving on to technical reports. So this award's structured a little bit differently than the other ones. Each year, the teams submit 4 technical reports, which we can combine together and assess as a single award. So these teams turned in, for year 1, the safety update report, a software safety analysis, failure modes analysis, and then an autonomous vehicle safety assessment, part 1 of that particular report. These reports combined using test data and analysis to show their vehicle could perform safely and efficiently, and how the team would be ready to meet the challenges for any technical issues encountered within their autonomous vehicle. So there is one winner. The first place for the technical reports goes to Michigan State University.
Well done. Congratulations. Well done.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Congratulations. Congratulations. There you are.
One of you guys gets to hold
Good
this.
luck beyond it all.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm done with that. So on Friday, students participated in a series of static events, including a social responsibility presentation, a concept design presentation, a MathWorks simulation challenge, and a mapping challenge. In addition to submitting reports, teams gave presentations to reflect their research and making their case for using the RSS model for safety for autonomous driving. In third place this year for a social responsibility presentation goes to the University of Waterloo.
Again.
Congratulations. Nice seeing you again.
Again.
You want to read those this time? You sure? Okay.
Congratulations, Waterloo. In second place, Virginia Tech. And in first place, University of Toronto. Congratulations, Toronto. So the next category is concept design event. This award goes to the team who had the best evaluation of the engineering effort that went into the design of the integration of components into their vehicle and how their engineering meets the intent of the competition. So in third place this year, the University of Waterloo. Okay, concept design, second place, Michigan State.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Congratulations.
Great
Well
job.
done.
Congratulations. Very good.
Shut up.
Up here, remember?
And first place, concept design, University of Toronto. Okay, in year two, we did something a little bit different and instituted a cost effectiveness award that combines a team's design scores with their present scores across the dynamic events. In third place, North Carolina A&T. Congratulations. In second place, cost effectiveness, Michigan Tech.
Congratulations. Well done. Very good job. Well done. Congratulations.
And first place, University of Toronto. So in year two, another difference for year two was the mapping challenge. So these awards go to the teams that were required to demonstrate turn-by-turn routing functionality on screen. Based on their maps, the teams were asked to be able to show turn-by-turn directions that they have created, showing locations, destination, and starting. Routing options and estimating all times and the ability to zoom in and out on the map. In third place for 2019 is North Carolina A&T. Just as we figured out this picture flow, we have a tie for first place. So could I have both of these teams please come up, and we'll figure out how we're going to fit 8 people up here. University of Toronto and Texas A&M. Congratulations. Yeah, you can take it with you. We'll send the other. Another difference from year two is we have added this year the MathWorks Simulation Challenge. And the MathWorks Simulation Challenge provides the ability for teams to test complicated scenarios without incurring damages to their vehicles. So the vehicles, while maintaining a uniform, safe scoring environment, the objective of the challenge is to develop and test vehicle controllers' response to oncoming vehicles and those things that may be blocking their lane in an urban environment. I'd like to introduce Mr. Christoph Hahn from MathWorks to come up and give you a little bit more detail about the mapping challenge, and we will call the individual winners up. Christoph?
Chris, thank you very much. The simulation challenge for you was actually a challenge. It was difficult. Sometimes it also was difficult for us, but we literally were surprised and overwhelmed by your submissions, by your presentations. So you really got the idea of system integration. So simulation should not be extra effort to reach some more points or win the challenge. Actually, you should benefit. A bit more invest in simulation leads to a lot less effort when doing real-world testing, reduced cost, and so on. And you actually nailed it. You got the idea, and we were literally overwhelmed by that. So congratulations to all teams. It was literally overwhelming.
Please stay for us for pictures. You can grab it wherever you can. So we had another tie. In second place this year, we had, and I'd like both teams to send representatives forward, Michigan Tech and Texas A&M. Congratulations, Michigan Tech and Texas A&M. And in first place, University of Toronto. How about one more hand for all of our static event winners? So on Saturday, we transitioned the competition into 4 dynamic events. The students participated in traffic controls sign challenge, a pedestrian challenge, the M-City challenge, and of course the intersection challenge. The objective of the traffic control challenge was to evaluate the vehicle's ability to react to various regulatory traffic control signs. In third place for traffic controls is Michigan Tech. Traffic controls, second place, North Carolina A&T. And first place, traffic controls, University of Toronto. Then on Saturday, we moved on to some more fun with the pedestrian challenge. So the objective of the pedestrian challenge is to evaluate the vehicle's pedestrian both recognition and responsibilities. The vehicle had to react safely and appropriately to pedestrians that detected and when crossing and traffic lights. In third place, North Carolina A&T. Pedestrian challenge, second place, Michigan Tech. And pedestrian challenge, first placed, University of Toronto. The next dynamic event was the M-City Challenge. The objective of the M-City Challenge, of course, was to evaluate the vehicle's ability to travel through a defined layout, obeying all traffic lights, and apply what the vehicle encounters, deer. The third place M-City Challenge, Kettering. Second place, M-City Challenge, North Carolina A&T. And M-City Challenge, first place. I got a great video. Toronto. Congratulations, Toronto. And the final dynamic event was, of course, the Intersection Challenge. The objective of the Intersection Challenge is to evaluate the vehicle's ability to properly react to stoplights and navigate four-way intersections. In third place, Michigan Tech. Second place, North Carolina A&T. And first place for the Intersection Challenge, University of Toronto. Congratulations. But one more round of applause for all of our Year 2 dynamic event winners. Okay, so this takes us to overall awards. We'll change the rules a little bit. If your team is an overall award winner, all team members that are present are more than welcome to come up and receive the award. In third place for the 2019 Autodrive Challenge Award goes to Texas A&M. Congratulations, Texas A&M. And in second place, 2019 Autodrive Challenge Competition overall, North Carolina A&T. (2019) Autodrive Challenge, first place overall, University of Toronto. Congratulations, Toronto. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations to all teams. At this time, I'd like to invite Allison Hostetler to talk about some things with the cubes on your table. I'll leave it at that.
Well, you have to pay attention to the rest before we get there. So, just a few housekeeping things. If you did win a trophy, we have boxes underneath the tables. For any that had a tiebreaker, we will make a trophy specifically and send it to your university after. So you will get your correct trophy. So I think it's Michigan Tech, I owe you one, and Toronto, I think I owe you one. Okay. As everyone talked about tonight, the Autodrive Challenge does not happen alone. We have a wonderful partner that we found in General Motors. So very nice round of applause for General Motors as we sit in their beautiful facility. Also, I want to note that the first, second, and third place trophies were created by General Motors, so engineers do creative things. But the two of us are not powerful enough to see this through, and so we've recruited and gone out and have a lot of partners that I want to thank tonight. So if you are here with that company, I'd like you to stand so the students can recognize and maybe network with you a little bit as we do a tour. I'd like to thank Intel, OXTS, Continental, Velodyne LiDAR, and MathWorks. Those five represent our official suppliers and our partners in this program with us. I'd also like to thank On Semiconductor, Novatel, Kistler, MSC Software, Bosch, FEV, Here Mapping, Here is not here. Yes, I know. That was for you, Mark. DS SolidWorks, and ZF. Again, thank you very much to all of our partners and sponsors. This does not happen with two people. Kevin and I may lead the team, but the team we work with is really phenomenal. I know at SAE and through General Motors, we may have a lot of people that work on your rules questions, and just throughout the year. So really a round of applause to all the volunteers that sit here tonight. I have to read this because Jamie will get mad if I don't read it correctly. Okay, so the cubes on your table, I'll read. The biggest question I was asked this week, other than when are my scores going to be posted, was, where's year 3? And a couple mentors tried to get me to slip, tried to get me to tell them where we're going. So Jamie last year put together the piñatas, and we had the M-City bumper sticker, so now as we end year 2. But by using the cubes as your centerpieces, you will be able to find the location of year 3. Your first hint is your dedicated mapping people, David Craig, should be able to figure this out. So once you figure out where it is, post on our Facebook page where you think it is. Also, there's a lot of cubes with pictures from last year, so if you find yourself or want to swap, you're welcome to. I know that we have some The photographer will be around for a little bit taking team photos. We want to definitely get your teams up by these cars. And I want to thank everybody. Please enjoy the facility that we're here.